Welcome to Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Bobby Pominville, and I'm the arts coordinator for the show. And today we're going to be talking about what it's like to intern at the FIPS and what kind of jobs might be available there, how to actually prepare for a job like that. And I have invited the person who was the former intern at the FIPS, and her name is Chelsea Kelly. Welcome to you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
I'm so glad I met you over there because I really don't know what this all, entails, and I really would like to know. So you actually were the gallery intern at the FIPS Center. What would you say your job is now, and tell us how that's grown?
Well, now my current position is the visual arts assistant. And so I originally started as an intern while I was going to school in River Falls, Wisconsin to get my Bachelor of Fine Arts. And so I started working at the FIPS then, and then over a few years, my responsibilities just kind of grew, and, I got to help out with a lot more stuff. And eventually they ended up giving me a position that's part-time during the year, and during the summer, I help full-time as the summer art camp coordinator.
Well, I've heard that there are so many people over there, so many students going through, and just a huge program. Because I know when I try to get a meeting room, it's impossible.
Yep.
So that's one of your jobs over there. What fun.
Yeah.
To work with the students and all the scheduling, and I imagine that takes a lot of coordination.
Yeah, well,
and what else do you do now this summer?
Well, also, with a new partnership that we have from the FIPS and Westfields Hospital is we're now going to be kind of molding a program similar to the partnership between Hudson Hospital and the FIPS, and including a rotating art exhibition program there. So now I'm also the healing arts coordinator at Westfields Hospital in New Richmond.
You are so lucky.
Yeah.
That is the most wonderful program, and I have had Margaret on the show several times, and it wasn't too long ago I was up there at the hospital looking at the art. And so do you use the same artists, or how do you coordinate that?
Similar artists. And so the way the FIPS has several partnerships with different organizations as far as exhibiting artwork. And we have our annual call once a year. And with that call, artists submit work to show in both the FIPS galleries, Hudson Hospital, now Westfields Hospital, and Croydale Assisted Living, which is in Bayport, Minnesota.
Oh, yes.
And it's a July 1 deadline, so there's still time to apply for that. But then afterwards, we put together a jury process where we have members of our Visual Arts Council, as well as some associate members come and help jury the artists, and then with their recommendation, we then forward artists on to Margaret Welshons, or now myself, to hold a separate jury with other hospital staff and some of their arts volunteers and local artists to put together their show schedule.
And I should point out that our healing arts program is the first of its kind anywhere.
Yeah.
And now just think of it, it's grown.
It's, and I've heard of several hospitals even in Minnesota that have started doing it, and people have asked if we kind of had a hand in that, and it's becoming a more popular trend.
Well, it's just a wonderful thing because, occasionally I'm over there visiting somebody in a hospital room, and the art is so healing. It is so comforting to be walking down the hall and see these wonderful things. And, of course, I always talk about the birdhouses on this show, but I think that's so wonderful that each patient has that birdhouse out there to look at and watch. So what fun. So what classes do you have to take to get a BFA and get this kind of a job?
Well, when I was at River Falls, Wisconsin, I immediately knew that I wanted to be very active in the art department, and so right away I kind of took the role as president of Art Society and started this arts organization on campus. And, I was a student secretary part-time in the art department office, answering phones, just kind of doing side work like that, but just, getting into the heart of it and getting to know all the faculty and, trying to take as much as I could. I started in art education, and when then I got there, I was like, well, I want to do everything. So I just started taking all the different studios, and I got into metalsmithing, actually. And so I ended up getting my Bachelor of Fine Arts in metalsmithing as my focus, and sculpture, and then minoring in photography, and I did quite a bit of art history as well. And so with that, just kind of getting as much experience in the different art classes, and I'd have friends in glassblowing or ceramics, and so I'd spend quite a bit of time in there, and printmaking. So I kind of just wanted to,
Oh, you've had a lot of
dip
experience.
my toes in all the different things there. But
And when you say metals now, I'm thinking of like garden sculptures or something that could be outside, or what kind of thing are you
I
making?
did a lot of jewelry and wearable art.
Jewelry too. Okay. So that's quite a process.
Yeah. Loss, wax, casting, and that's kind of my...
And that's your expertise.
Yes.
Oh, that's very
But
neat.
one class that, was the prime, thing that got me all these opportunities was the art seminar class, which is, mandatory for Bachelor of Fine Arts program students. And so you have to take it. But it really got you ready for the world and how to make an artist statement or a proper resume, business cards, postcards, how to have a show. It taught you...
I've never heard of that
Artist
class.
101, and Morgan Clifford was the instructor. It still is the instructor
Amazing.
of that. And
because it's going out in the real world.
Yeah.
And doing, what you want to do and kind of helping you along as far as how to do that kind of thing.
And through that class is actually how, before I started working at the Phipps, I originally was the healing arts intern with Margaret at Hudson Hospital.
Oh, you were?
So that's where I started all of this, when I was in college. Yep. And then I did a semester of that helping Margaret. And then through there, I got the position as the summer art camp assistant at the Phipps. And after that, I kind of asked if I could just stay on as an intern, and that's how I became an intern at the Phipps for the galleries. And so it really just all kind of pieced together.
That's just perfect. So you actually do some judging and various things like that? For those shows when I know they have a lot of people that want to exhibit. So that happens several times a year, I believe.
For the Phipps?
For the shows, the different shows and the people that want to come in.
So we have our annual call once a year and put together a big jury process. So my play in that is I kind of put together the PowerPoint and put together the jury process. And so
very good.
I haven't done the voting personally on those because I've always kind of been behind the scenes setting it up. And
Oh, I see. Okay. So, and there's always a council that's busy doing that kind of work. And oh, wow, you're doing a lot behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good way to learn. And who do you actually work under there?
So Anastasia Sharton is the visual arts director at the Phipps. And so
she's phenomenal.
Yes, I work under her. And now with the partnership with Westfields, Helen Sathry is kind of my supervisor there.
Yeah. And Anastasia has been on the show also, and I know that she has won awards for the Phipps.
Yes.
I know about that because the last time she was on, she actually brought an award. And I just think the Phipps Center has been a wonderful thing for Hudson.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just wonderful. And one of my favorites is the high school exhibit. And because I did teach and I taught mostly elementary, but I did go up to middle school and high school in different years. So going through the galleries there has always been fun.
Yeah. And we
Always
just recently had that high school show up. So that
Yes, I know that.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite part of the job now?
I think that's a hard question because there's so many different things that I do, so many different hats that I
Probably
wear.
enjoy it all.
I do. Whatever job I'm doing right now is my favorite job.
Well, then you're perfect for the position.
Yeah.
Because you're just going at it as all out and enjoying what you do.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, and the Phipps is what's kept me in Hudson.
Well, that is just wonderful. And like I said, the Phipps is outstanding. I think you couldn't find a better place to be.
Yeah.
And if you did ever have to move on or move somewhere, you certainly would find another art center.
I would.
I hope so. But I do
Yes.
think it's very outstanding. What do you think your goals will be for the future then?
I'm just really excited to get the Healing Arts program at Westfields up and running, and we just installed our first set of art actually this week. And so we have another artist that will be being installed early July with a open public reception on Thursday, July 18th.
Okay. Oh, I'm glad you told us
7:30.
that.
Yes, and so we have the Lake Country Pastel Society who will be showing, as well as Janine Kitzhaber.
Okay.
And Janine is a current faculty member at River Falls University.
Oh, so what is her media then?
She teaches painting there, and so she kind of does mixed media, 2D painting, layering different papers and paint, and it's beautiful work.
Wow.
And then the Lake Country Pastel Society, they paint with pastels, and some do soft pastels, some do a little bit different, and so that's really just lovely work too. And it's a group of artists, so each artist has a different style. And
Well, what exactly do you mean by pastels now? What's the technique?
pastel is it's a medium. It's kind of like a chalk, like a charcoal, but it's colored.
I do know what you mean now.
Yeah.
That can be really beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
And I imagine that means that you're also using the different colors in the pastels. I don't know. I'm not really art trained, so I have to ask you these questions.
Yeah.
But I have a great appreciation for the arts. And I guess if I had to say my favorite, it would be Monet.
Oh, yeah?
And I have some prints in my home so those pastels would really appeal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have to come.
Yeah. Although I'm not very artistic that way, because music is more my thing.
Okay.
But I do think they're very related, and I enjoy the Impressionistic period and all that. So now, what other teachers have influenced you? I think UWRF has always had a good art department.
Yeah,
for years. Outstanding
Yes,
teachers and
yes.
so on. So, and I know you've been exposed to a lot of different things, so you probably, who does the medals actually?
Well, the program changed when I was graduating. So it used to be small-scale jewelry, and then we had another instructor come in that started large-scale right before I had left, which was kind of, exciting, but at the same time, I didn't have enough time to learn this new style in time for my senior show. And so I stuck with doing the small casting and jewelry, but having large casting available to me, Asako was the instructor there, and after that, I actually was an administrative assistant intern at Franconia Sculpture Park in Taylors Falls. And
Really?
So I got experience kind of everywhere.
So you've been an intern there too?
Yes, yep. And it worked out perfect time-wise, because it was kind of a slow time for me at the FIPS when I wasn't needed as much, and so I was able to kind of intern more at Franconia than I was at the FIPS at that time. And once my internship with Franconia was done, then I came back.
I don't even know about that. Where is that located?
It's beautiful. It's a 20-acre sculpture park, and it's in Franconia, but right by Taylors Falls. Okay. So it's right on the corner of 8 and 95.
Uh-huh.
And they probably have, 100 sculptures up there, and they're rotating. They have about 40 artists come through. There's a house on site that they live in. Oh, and they have a few different programs set up, and an internship is one of them, and that's what I did. And so for a few hours every day, you kind of work for the park, and, whether it's digging holes, pulling weeds. I was helping with administration, and then when that's done, you get to make your own sculpture. And then they also have fellowship artists come out and Jerome artists come out, and it's marvelous. And it's, great because they're interactive pieces. You can touch the art, which, is different from a lot of other venues that you would go to. And it's all outdoors, and so they have, live music every other Saturday in the summer, and they have different programming there. So it's
good
really,
idea.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it. Do you think it's been there for quite a few years?
It's been there for quite some time.
Okay.
I want to say 15 years, but at that spot, it hasn't been that long. It moved after a while, but it's free too. It's open dawn till dusk every day of the year. So even in the wintertime, you get cross-country skiers. So it's kind of a magical place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I've always been on the river around there, and there's been some boating, but I guess I've never really looked for this. I'll have to look for that sculpture park. That is a neat idea. Well, is there anything else you would like to tell us about? I think we're winding down here, but I hope I've remembered everything.
Yeah, well, there's quite a few great things coming up at the FIPS right now. We actually have a new show being installed currently, which will be open tomorrow morning, Friday, the 28th of June.
Yes.
The Minnesota women ceramic artists are installing in all the galleries, galleries 1, 2, 3, and Overlook. And so that's going to be very beautiful. And then we have the FIPS members exhibition in the Commons with a public reception tomorrow night as well from 6:30 to 8:30.
I don't think our show will air in time, but I'm glad you're talking about it. What else is coming up?
Well, Summer Art Camp runs through August, so always new classes coming up, and a lot of classes still have some openings. And so that's always something to check out. Yeah.
And what age groups would you say?
We have classes that teach anywhere from, 2.5, 3 to 18 because we teach teen pottery.
Really?
And we have, classes like clay animation and some really exciting stuff for older kids as well. And it's,
wow.
There's a whole variety of different classes.
So there's openings.
Yes.
We do want to get the word out on that. Mm-hmm. What would you be doing in a 2.5-year-old class?
They have some fun classes. There's a group of artists that teach those, and it's they made these kooky creatures that were dream catchers and painted bags. And for really young, they have the class with a parent.
Yeah.
But it's so fun.
Oh, I imagine, or
I
it
get
could
to go
be
class
chaos.
to class and take photos, and so it's fun.
Oh, wow. So I imagine there'll be some things in the paper.
Yes.
That'll be wonderful. And then I think you have an ongoing painting class there for adults, don't you, in the summer?
Yeah, there's
I'm pretty sure I know people who are in that.
Yeah, and I'm not as involved with the
that would be a different type
classes.
Of thing. Yeah.
Yep. But I know that we do have a variety of different classes that do happen throughout the year for adults, such as pottery, painting. There's a photography group that meets there. And so there's a lot of different things available, which you can find in the marquee as well as online. And so there's options all year round.
Well, that's just wonderful. I mean, I had no idea that it started as young as 2.5. I think that's wonderful. Well, this has been a really interesting talk.
Yeah, thank you for
having me. I'm
really
really glad you came, Chelsea. What fun. We had a hard time scheduling, but we finally got it done.
We got it in.
So I do want to thank you. And I do want to say I hope you enjoyed the show today, and I hope you'll visit the FIPS and some of the places we were talking about. Perhaps, like me, you'll be going to Taylor's Falls, too. So we'll say goodbye for now, and I'm glad you watched the show.